From the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery in Nashville, Tennessee, it's Gardening Inside Out, a podcast with highlights from our Saturday morning live show, answering all your gardening questions, giving you plant advice for any space in your life. Let's start the show.
Hello, it's Caroline Gant.
Hello, it's Austin Lowen.
And it's Tyler Blankenship.
We're back.
Hello.
Yep. For another week.
Mm-hmm.
Late May
plants.
action.
Yeah. It's getting hot.
Ugh, that just hit.
It did. It's almost swimming weather. The pools are about to be open.
I've already swam.
I don't have a pool, so I have to wait until the public pool's open.
My kids have already swam for sure. But this week specifically, it's gotten yuck.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Like 87 today, but like muggy.
Yeah.
Muggy 87.
Tennessee humidity.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. It is here.
But that didn't stop you from working yesterday, did it?
No, it didn't. I planted so much stuff yesterday. I got these little 1-gallon flame creeper azaleas, 5 of them, put them all in the ground. I think I'm going to buy one more.
You also,
all along the shady hillside I have.
Mm-hmm. You sent me a picture. You planted your birthday hydrangea.
I did. You got me an eclipse hydrangea, and I planted that in a very special spot, actually right next to the New Jersey tea plant that Ben got me for my birthday.
Ben would get you that weird plant.
I'm so excited about both of them. I didn't know what it was when he walked me up when he was like, Caroline, there's something on register 6 I think you need to look at. And I walked over there and I had no idea what that plant was, but now I know. I've studied on it. I'm excited about it. Looks pretty cute.
Do you want to share information about either of those?
No, I don't.
Listeners?
Yes, I would love to. So the Eclipse hydrangea is this dark leaf hydrangea that's a new release, right? Like it just came out. And it's got these like black chocolatey looking leaves and these like pinkish red blooms.
It's like cherry red.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that. I wanted one as soon as I saw them. I was actually in the green room when they arrived here at Bates for the first time. And Austin busted through that door and was like, Caroline, you've got to see this. And I knew I was going to love it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I want one of those.
Was that the first editions
Yes.
grower?
Yeah. So Austin got me one of those. And then the New Jersey tea is like a substitute for tea plants. It's like kind of a cheaper one. It's got these cute little white blooms.
Is it native?
It's native. It's native.
Is it a camellia?
It's easy. No, it's not a camellia. I can't remember what it's called.
Ceanothus.
Yeah.
Ceanothus.
Either way.
See you later.
Well, Ben said we don't
Americanus.
get them here very often. And he was like, I know you like weird stuff. So Eclipse and New Jersey tea.
Speaking of weird stuff, what I like the most about that Eclipse is that it's got real dark leaves, but the veins are really green, so it gives this contrast. I love green veins on a dark leaf plant like that.
It's
really
so pretty. I can't wait
That's
to see
nice.
it mature. But yeah, I spent the day planting that, plus a little more, cleaning up my veggie bed. My wildflower bed is going crazy right now. Things are blooming.
Yeah.
There's butterflies everywhere. I love it. I'm about to plant my sunflower and zinnia seeds because I haven't done that yet. Little bit late to the game, but it'll be okay.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
There's one thing that you two are exempted from right now, which is the cicada apocalypse that has descended upon the greater Nashville area.
Yeah, somehow they're not out where we are.
Nope.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one out where I am.
Yeah, well, we're, fairly far north of the city, and they just, you hit this one road, like you'll hear them the whole way home until you hit this one road for the most part, and then after that, nope, they're not there. I've seen one single cicada at my house. One. And Tyler, you've seen like a billion.
Yes. And there are currently hundreds of them all over my fruit cocktail tree in my backyard. Now, I'm not really that worried. I decided not to cover it. I do have a coral bark Japanese maple that I did cover. It's pretty small. So I just wanted to give it a fighting chance just in case. And, let them pick on something that's bigger.
Yeah.
But they are literally covered all over it. I could not look at it because I was getting like shivers.
Because there were so many.
Yes.
It sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. It's fascinating, a little unsettling, but they mostly were just frozen in position because they were ovipositing. And this is the phase in their life cycle where they are depositing their eggs just underneath the bark of the tree. And then those little eggs will hatch, and then they will fall out, and they will begin their journey underground where they start feeding on the roots of the tree. Won't see them for another 13 years. So they won't be around for much longer, but it's just so disturbing seeing it all happen. Fascinating too.
It
It's
is.
just a lot of things. And watching birds catch them in midair
Oh yeah,
has been wild.
I've seen that here at the nursery a lot.
Yeah.
Just picking them off.
It's exciting to watch.
That is fun to watch. I enjoy that.
They're so
Yes.
loud. I
It
love
is.
watching them fly near Austin's head.
They annoy me.
Yeah, they really do.
They want to just fly by me and scream at me all the time. I don't
They're
understand.
just
it.
trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
That's because they're dumb.
And adorable.
Actually, last night we were sitting on the couch and it was late, kind of. It was like 9 or 10 p.m. And we just hear a, like, against the wall and then a, and Sarah was like, you know what that cicada just said? And I said, yeah, I probably do know what it said. I can't repeat it
Yeah.
on
You
the
can't
podcast.
say it on the podcast. Not allowed.
Bonk. So, yeah, it's just been, it's been 13 years since I've experienced the last one, and that one was crazy, and it definitely marked that time in my life. This is the same thing this year. But
They're everywhere.
something else that's happening in my yard is fruit time, fruit season, berry season.
It's your favorite time. You are all about your fruits.
Well, that's what I've grown my garden towards. I have a bunch of things. I mean, obviously we have our one plant that we really love and we just want it because we want to plant it and see it. But I've mainly focused on fruit in my garden rather than like vegetables or anything. And so my gold raspberry is ripening up. Strawberries are still going. Blueberries are coming along. Actually, my climax fruited really hard this year. And I feel like a lot of people have said they've gotten good fruit set this year. So, and one other thing, Sarah discovered in our front yard, serendipity, a black cap raspberry
Hey.
has been growing there.
nice.
They are so cute, and you can differentiate them from a blackberry because they have round fruit. They look like perfectly little round cap fruit. And they ripen to a dark color.
magical.
They taste pretty good,
Good
too.
job, Sarah.
Yeah, she's got a
I
great
haven't
eye.
checked my wild blackberries on my property. They're probably going crazy right now.
Oh, they're loaded with fruit. They're not quite ripe yet, but
Yeah.
loaded. Good
And then the
Lord.
birds and the deer will get them all before I get back there.
We usually take the kids out with the big bowl and let them pick on them for a while. They'll eat most of them before they get back in the house.
They're
But
so good.
That's the idea, man.
I have such big seeds in mine, but that's okay.
that's what annoys me the most about a blackberry.
Yeah.
I hate those
Especially
seeds
the
getting
wild
in my
ones.
teeth. Yes, they're so seedy.
Kev, what's going on in your garden?
Well, the best thing so far is the petunias are blooming.
Oh, I bet you're so happy about that.
It was a process because my stupid chickens messed them up a couple weeks ago.
That's
If
right.
you watched the show, you heard this saga. So they took a hit and they were scratched at and it was so annoying. It didn't look good. But last Monday, I spent like probably an hour and a half, I'd say at least hands and knees weeding. And I just did it. I just started at one end and I worked my way down, did it all. I did not stop until every weed was, y'all, I was pulling weeds tiny. I mean, y'all know how kind of tidy I am.
You're very tidy. You're
This-
the tidiest gardener I know.
This was as tidy. I mean, this was as meticulous as I think I've ever weeded.
Did you get a picture?
No. No. The thing is like I'll use like a broad spectrum herbicide to like get my weeds in check in the early spring, but I do this very low pressure. I'm very targeted on the weeds. Obviously I don't want any Roundup touching any of my plants, so I'm very meticulous about that. So what happened is I didn't have a ton of weeds in like the bigger areas anymore. All the weeds had congregated really tight around the plants that I want to keep. So I really had to get in there hands and knees and just pull them out by hand because I'm not going to, spray herbicide that close to the plants. So it was a meticulous weed pulling day, but it's done. And the petunias have latched in. I can tell they're looking good. And the misty lilacs are showing color.
Yes. Your favorite.
Beautiful.
Yes, it's so good.
I've got some that you gave me. Your leftovers.
Yep.
And mine are already blooming because you hadn't cut them back and I didn't cut them back. I just stuck them in the ground.
See, I can't do that. I've got to cut mine back before I ever put them in. No, I can't. I got to cut the leg out before I put them in. And then once they get in the ground, they can get all stretchy like they do, fill the space that I need them to fill. But right off the rip, I got to cut them. I got to top them so they bush better and then they bloom better later.
How far do
might
you
top
take
them.
them back?
Pretty close to the top of the pot. If I'm planting a little 4-inch petunia that's say, 4 to 6 inches tall, then I'll take it back to 2 to 3 inches. And that just gives more leaves and eventually more blooms. That's my goal.
Yours do look gorgeous every year.
Same philosophy for catmint. Like my catmint is already bloomed, and there's some blooms happening, but it's not profuse.
Oh, you need to take that in half, buddy.
Yeah.
Or
I'm about to cut
even
mine,
further.
Yeah.
Yeah, catmint deserves a cutback. It'll give you a rebloom too.
Mine's like a shrub right now. My Walker's Low is. I have another upright one. I can't remember what it is.
They call Walker's low, but like that ain't that low.
No, it's not.
It's really not.
It's mine's probably like a foot tall.
I really like that.
Real wide.
Yeah,
You
I
like
like
cat's
that.
pajamas.
That cat's pajamas. That's a cute little catmint. It seems tidy. It seems small.
I love catmint. If you're listening and you don't have catmint, get you some.
It's cute.
Mine blooms early, and then if you cut it back, it'll bloom again.
Great for mass plantings, great for borders,
Great for pollinators.
containers.
Yeah, it is
It's
good.
easy. It's like low maintenance.
It's about to be hydrangea season, people.
Oh yeah, it's Austin's time of year.
Time to shine.
My one oak leaf is in full bloom right now.
Yeah, oak leaf
My
around town are
snowsicle.
full bloom. The panicles are getting ready to start though. My quickfire, hence the name quickfire, it happens quicker than most panicles. It's very budded up, and it will not be long.
Are you so excited? Yes.
It's really pretty. It's full, very tight, blooms atop every single stem. Can't wait.
Do you
You're
think
so kind.
quickfire would do okay in part sun?
I mean, part sun, if it's like afternoon sun, yeah, I think it'd be fine. It just probably get a little leggy if it's in too much shade, you know what I mean?
I have one that gets sun until about 1 o'clock,
And it's fine.
and it's fine.
That's plenty of sun.
This
So,
would be afternoon sun.
Yeah,
mainly.
totally fine.
But it's on the north side of my house, but it's out from the house, maybe a good 6 or 7 feet. Kind of trying to do an entryway thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think it might work.
I think that would be fine. Your front yard seems pretty well lit.
Yeah. Well, I was growing holly was already growing before I had removed those finally. And of course, the one on the western side was a bit bigger than the one on the other side, on the east side. And one was kind of shading the other a little bit, and I tried to shave it down some too to keep them in check.
You got to.
You
Got
do.
to.
I'm keeping all my plants in check. Kind of hard to do. But I bet we're ready to go ahead and get into the broadcast.
I
Shall
think it's
we?
time.
I
Yes.
think it is time.
It was a
We-
good show this week.
Yes, solid. Lots of questions asked and answered, live and pre-recorded.
And if you have questions, you can send them on Instagram on Fridays. We put a sticker up. Or you can email us at gardeninginsideout@gmail.com. Send us photos of things you're proud of or problems that you have in your garden beds. You will hear our voices as well as Josh Carey and David Bates.
We got questions.
We
I know
do.
that.
We
Yes,
do.
I know that for a fact. And this is that time of year when people are they're in that time where they're trying to get ready for the summer that's out there ahead. There's always
I'm ready.
difficulties. Are you ready?
Yeah, man. Garden's
Well,
in.
That's good.
New plants planted. all of
Everything,
it.
everything's planted, and that's all a good thing. But I would say this is probably like the peak time for questions because the bugs have showed up.
Oh, have
The
they?
fungus has showed up. The issues with our plants have showed up. So lots of questions about that, I'm sure. We've been getting, this week has been the week of the rose questions, okay? We got roses that are blooming around town right now, but we've got the little sawfly larvae that love the roses. We've got the black spot that's getting on your roses, and people have questions about that. How do we...
Slugs.
Slugs are out there. I saw, was it me? No, it was me and Tyler yesterday looked
We're
at...
easily confused.
Yeah.
yeah. So
It was me, Austin.
It was you, yes. It was showing me pictures of hosta getting just ravaged by slugs and snails.
That's sad.
They love the hostas. But yeah, this is
do.
the time when things are happening, good or bad.
Coming out. Yep.
Yep.
You're right.
I wonder if slugs and deer are mortal enemies simply because that they both love to chew hostas to the ground.
Yeah, they fight over the hostas. The difference with the slugs and the deer is that the deer will just chomp them,
Right.
just take them like half at a time, or whatever. Slugs just make irregular holes, and like that's kind of the damage with slugs. It's like a spot here, spot there that's been chewed.
So
And-
perhaps that's how deer, that's their version of escargot.
Oh
Where
yeah,
they
they might get one while
Just a
they
little
chomp
extra.
it.
It could be a little, add a little crunch to it.
That could be it. All right, we ready to dive into some questions?
Do it.
Dive.
Let's do it. Let's dive. Speaking of diving, we're going to talk about a rain garden. Couldn't really dive into it, but water. Good rain garden bush, not grass. And then they say, sorry, Austin, 3 foot wide by 4 to 6 foot tall.
Okay, well, that's no grass. Okay, I get it. Y'all know I
you
love my
sad
grass.
about that?
I'm a little sad, but that's okay. Got some other ones. Okay, so Itea comes to mind.
Absolutely.
Definitely. It's in bloom right now. It
I
handles
love
those wet
mine.
feet. It's really good in that scenario. Great fall color, good bloomer. Just a good plant in general. Can live anywhere. Calicanthus comes to mind. This is a sweet shrub, people call it.
Also love that too. I have one as well.
That gets kind of large and it grows really fast. Buttonbush comes to mind. That's Cephalanthus, and that's a little white bloomer. It likes the water just fine, and it's okay. It can get a little big. Don't be scared to cut it. It's easy. It's a nice native around here. All three of these, actually. No, Calicanthus I don't think is, but Itea and Cephalanthus, both natives. So that would work. If you want an evergreen option, inkberry holly could
There
work
you
for
go.
that. So there's just some options.
Look at
That's
you
not
full
a
of
grass.
ideas.
Would we consider papyrus a grass?
It's listed in that family, so
what?
yes.
Papyrus.
Oh, papyrus.
It would do well, but it's not going to survive.
Yeah, it doesn't last the winters here.
Okay.
It'd be great for the season.
Yeah.
That's a cool plant, too.
It's really cool. And they get
Gorgeous.
so big. I'm a big fan.
You can make paper out of it.
The first
Well,
paper
look at
was
you.
made
Have
from
you ever
It
done
was. No,
Yes.
never.
Whoa. Early on in the broadcast, you're already getting sassy. All right, let's talk about peonies. My peony has finished blooming, and now it's getting powdery mildew.
No.
What do I do?
The peonies with their issues after they
Still worth it,
bloom.
though.
You should tell it to stop raining.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, it's like I said earlier, it's fungus season. So
You know, maybe that's an opportunity for like peony umbrellas that you could stake into your garden.
Oh, that'd be
just to
kind of
keep
cute.
well, and you know the good thing for you is that sometimes I say peony, sometimes I say peony.
I do too. I
It's
never know
just
how to say it.
How it is. But anyway, like with powdery mildew, you have to kind of prevent powdery mildew. Once you've got it, spraying fungicides is not really going to do much.
And that prevention
Unfortunately.
can come down to a matter of hours when you have the opportunity and can take the action. So it's really tough.
Yeah, it is. And the thing about peonies now, too, is that they're not throwing any more leaves. What the leaves they have for the season is going to be the leaves they have for the rest of the season. So if you spend 30 minutes to an hour, whatever, go out there with like a damp cloth and wipe off those leaves.
What
There's
kind of
not-
cloth? Oh, damp.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
damp.
Okay.
Damn.
I misunderstood you.
You might be saying a different word while you're doing that.
Right.
But,
Darn cloth. Yes.
but just take your time. There's only so many leaves. It's not like it's a super leafy plant like a holly or boxwood or something. So go out there, try to wipe off that powdery mildew as much as you can. Just do it, y'all. Just do it.
It'll be okay. It'll be just fine. I think I have aphids on most of my plants.
Ah.
Help. That's the pest that I would want. If I was to have anything on all of my plants, I would choose aphids.
Such a great point because aphids are like a draw in good bugs bug. Okay,
They get a bad rap.
Yeah, they get
Yeah,
a bad
they
rap,
do.
but they don't do all that much damage really to a plant. But they do bring in those good bugs that we want. Those lacewings, those ladybugs. The ones that really feed on the aphids, and we want to get those in the garden as much as we can. If you just have a little aphid problem, it's not worth spraying synthetic insecticides.
We can agree that they do suck.
Yes,
I mean, that's literally
what they do.
That's what they do. But you're right; they do draw in a whole host of beneficial pests that might not only feed on them but on other things as well.
Exactly. So, keeping the numbers at bay is probably a good idea. We don't want, 10 can go to 100 to a million somewhat quickly. So we kind of do have to keep an eye on that. But don't just freak out and just start spraying crazy insecticides when you just have a little aphid problem.
What I have seen lady beetles clean off
Yes.
many hundreds in a course of a few hours.
Yes.
So they can just chomp down. I mean, that must be like M&Ms to them or Skittles.
Yes.
They just really chomp them down. It's amazing.
It is.
Corn nuts.
Corn nuts.
Yeah, corn nuts.
It's not my analogy,
possible.
but yeah.
A lot of times with aphids, if I get them on my house plants, they really like tropical hibiscus as well. I will just spray them off with some light water pressure.
Yeah,
and
that's
it
all it
takes
takes.
doing it a couple times, and after maybe 3 to 4 times, they usually will go away and leave those plants alone. And it's kind of fun to watch them just fly everywhere. In a way. All right, best deterrent for ants eating strawberries and under squash plants.
Oh, I mean,
He said,
Ants?
"Oh."
I guess they could be eating the strawberries if they're like open. I just don't think of ants as plant bugs all that much. They're just
That
really
would
not.
be,
They're just
they would
usually
only
there.
be eating them when they were really ripe.
Really ripe, yeah.
That would
Or
mean you're
wounded
not
in
picking
particular.
often enough.
Yes, you need to pick strawberries, and this goes with tomatoes and a lot of different fruits. You need to be picking those things a day or two before they're fully ripe, because that is when the little critters, the insects, all of them really like them too.
Birds go down there, peck a hole in it, and that sweet stuff gets out. And then
So whenever
all
they're
over it.
starting to turn red, not fully red and ripe, you pick those, bring them into your house, and they will ripen inside your home. Okay, that's typical for me to do before the ants start to get them, because ants will feed on strawberries once they're like juices leaking out.
Yeah.
you know. So pick them a little bit earlier. And now ants under a squash plant isn't really that big of a deal. I mean, it kind of I guess
aerates
it's
the
annoying.
soil.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of annoying that you have to maybe pick squash or prune squash or whatever you have to do like around the ants, but I don't think it's worth like killing them or anything.
I have ants in my garden bed.
Ants are everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like the most abundant creature on the planet.
It's just
And
one
so
of those.
strong.
Yeah.
It's just one of those opportunities for not using any kind of a chemical
Right.
control.
Yeah.
Just live with them. They got their job to do.
They
and
do.
Yeah.
They're not normally all that injurious.
Now,
So
if the uncles show up,
and then you got
Yeah.
it's game over.
hey, what are you going to do?
It took me a minute to get that.
I liked it.
I was like, what? All right. Why are all my wisteria leaves turning brown and falling off? I just bought it 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Oh, no.
only 2 weeks ago.
That's
Got
quick.
dry.
So
Sounds
probably
like it.
dry. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I can't imagine how it could be dry.
Yeah.
Since we've been so wet. Like that's such a weird.
Now the thing of it is, when you have a new planting, it only has to get dry that one time.
You're right.
You can water it all you want to afterwards, and it won't undo the damage immediately that occurred when it got too dry. So we've had some opportunities that generally, yes, it's been plenty wet, and you may have perceived that it was staying very wet, but it probably just got too dry. Now, does that mean it's dead? I don't think so.
I wonder
Unless
if
you
it's
left it-
actually in the ground and not in a pot, too.
Well,
It's possible.
we didn't get that information, I don't
Yeah,
think.
so-
But it definitely got too dry. Strip all of that brown foliage, off of it, and keep it watered. It'll flush back out.
Yeah, it probably will. And David, you're so right. The first watering is so crucial. Like you've got to make sure you get it down deep and around the root zone. Just because it rains.
And throughout the root ball.
Yes, throughout the root ball. Like water it before you ever plant it. First off, like soak it and then plant it and then soak it again.
Drown it.
Yes, like right around the root zone. Because even if it rains, that doesn't necessarily mean that rain is penetrating all that deep down into the ground,
And you've got to have that opportunity to settle the air pockets out from around the root ball. And if you leave those in there, then you're going to naturally induce dry spots that can occur around the root zone, which can be injurious and create such things as dead leaves. So,
And anytime something happens that quickly, within 2 weeks, it's an underwater scenario, not an overwater. Overwatering takes a while to kill a
It's just
plant.
But then
almost
it kills
impossible.
It like crazy.
Right.
I think if you put it in a tub of water for 2 weeks, it wouldn't do that.
No.
No, I don't think so. I think you're right. Let's stay on the vine topic, shall we? Will
shall.
Star Jasmine survive here?
Tell them, Caroline.
It will if we have a mild winter. I had one for about 3 years planted outside in a pot, and it did great. It held its leaves through the winter. It bloomed like spring, summer. Smelled amazing. December 2022 came around. Killed it real fast. It
22.
was gone. Yep, 22.
Then 23.
So if you really want one, I would say it's worth planting. You will probably lose it eventually. I'm not sure if it would have survived this past winter either. to
They
be
are a
honest.
great annual that occasionally acts like a perennial.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
And if you treat it as such, as you just said, it's not unusual to get numerous years out of it. However, if you have it planted in a container, you're probably only going to get just the one. It'll freeze out consistently, above the ground situation. If it's in the ground, it can make it for several. And if you give it a little bit of protection, it can probably make it through, even fairly severe winters, but you got to do some major protection on it.
Now, I got to ask, Steve, what do you think about yours that was in a pot? Do you think it went through and tapped into the earth?
Well, I don't think so because when I pulled it up, there were no roots through.
Okay.
Because I always check that because I
Yeah.
think it's cool when plants root through. I had a blueberry bush in a pot on my driveway that my mom gave me. Good morning, Sherry Gant.
Hey, Cher.
Hey, and it rooted out of the pot and like into the driveway and just kept going. It was crazy when I pulled it up.
I know. I love it.
It is now in the ground.
It taps into the earth and you don't have to water it near as much.
I know.
love it
It's
when
the
that
best.
happens.
It's so cool.
Yep.
All right. Last vine question of the morning. Do you prune crossvine or let it go wild? Training to climb over an arbor. I let mine go pretty wild. I'll prune it to keep it in check if it's starting to grow somewhere where I don't want it to grow. But cutting it back makes it look really, really healthy. So if you want to cut some of the dead off, they do look a little bit tired year after year if you don't prune them back. So if you don't like that kind of tired, worn look that it can have from time to time, you can cut it back. It's really just up to you and what your aesthetic is with that plant.
And they are really manageable compared to a lot of vines. They don't grow so aggressively that they overgrow the area. So it doesn't take a whole lot of pruning to keep them within bounds.
Keep it clean on that arbor too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is what's your personality? Are you like Caroline and let it just go?
We know
Are
what
you
your
like
personality. We know what your personality is don't use Bignonia.
Well, if I did and I had it, I probably would right now probably actually go ahead and give it a trim. So I see what Caroline said, a nice flush to keep it tight on that arbor. 'Cause
Exactly.
That's what I want.
Yep.
But it's a personality trait.
Y'all, it's so pretty when it just takes over an arbor or a fence or wherever you plant it in the spring.
I think
Oh.
it's not outgoing enough
No.
for Austin. I mean, it's just it's a
It's not loud
little
enough.
it's a little
Way too
subdued.
reserved, yeah.
One day you'll plant one. No, you won't. No, you won't.
Austin's got something to prove us all wrong here in a minute.
We'll see.
Oh, is it a clematis?
He's
Teaser.
too-
Don't even.
He's too
Clematis.
That's all I'm going to say.
See, I didn't even need to take a picture of my crossvine because I can talk about it so much. Y'all didn't need to see a photo. We got a live question in about strawberries. I planted, well, it's more of a comment. I planted a bunch of strawberries and have only gotten one because my dog and the squirrels are eating them all.
Yeah.
At least they're eating well.
Hey, good
That's
for your
so
dog.
true. You're feeding those dogs,
The
those
dog
squirrels.
should be addressing the squirrel issue, though.
That's the thing. Yeah, he
Yeah,
should.
come on,
He
man.
should take the
They might be
squirrels.
buddies.
Then normally
get the strawberries.
normally they are not in cahoots.
No.
Uh-huh. Train your dog to run off the squirrels and then pick the strawberries gently and bring them to you.
Yeah, not to go once you go back in the house. Say, come on back out. They're inside. They don't know.
That would be pretty cute if you could train your dog to do that.
That would be
My
amazing.
dogs would never. Ever
Well,
be able to
somebody
do
will
that.
put a video up about it. I'm sure it's happened somewhere. There are people filming animals 24 hours a day. So.
Yeah, that's true. The internet is full of them. All right. Is there an ornamental grass that thrives in shade or part shade that gets 6 feet tall?
6 feet tall.
I mean, I typically
No.
tell people, I mean, they don't want full shade like at all, but a part shade environment is okay. And there is, what's that one? The switchgrass.
Totem pole.
Totem pole. That one gets the tallest. You could probably expect 6 feet out of it. And the good thing for you, if you put it in shade, it might actually reach for sun
that
and
happens
maybe
with some
get
of my
taller.
switch-
Yeah, now
grass,
my
yeah.
belief is that you would, if you were going to do that, is to use one of those grow through type of frames to let it grow through, because being in the shade, it's going to be weak and floppy. It's going to have that tendency. You get a hard rain or a high wind, it's going to lay it down. So if you're in really heavy shade, it might survive, but it's not going to be nearly as strong. So a grow through type of frame like you would use on a peony would be, that would be my suggestion. But you might try it for a year and see if it's necessary or not.
See if that
I
works.
think that's a great point, because I think what you're going to see if it's in the shade is those blades won't get as fat and as thick and sturdy. It'll probably be a little bit more spindly. So what David said, putting it through that is going to keep it upright and actually get it to 6 foot.
Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Earth Mix, featuring Garden Premium Topsoil Blend. This essential mix includes Tennessee subsoil, supernatural organic compost, humic acid, and mycorrhizal fungi to create a truly living soil. Garden topsoil is perfect for establishing raised, edible, and ornamental garden beds, as well as for planting trees, shrubs, and other landscape plants. Bulk and super sack options available. Visit earthmix.net to discover their entire line of soils and amendments and helpful blog posts. Success begins at the ground level when you use EarthMix garden products. We can talk about... Whoa!
Oh, the show's over.
We can talk about who's pushing the buttons.
No, don't talk about me.
All right, let's start with a photo, Tyler.
Okay.
And what's blooming? Oh!
Ooh.
Clematis.
that
Eat your
noise
heart
again.
out, Crossvine Caroline. Look at that.
I don't know,
Really?
my crossvine.
It's
was
not
great
that.
this year.
It's not that.
It's not that now.
It's not that.
But it was more.
I just
You know,
want to. I
in
just want to
January,
stop.
your crossvine.
It's going to look way better than
Oh,
that.
yes.
And the leaves are going to be almost that
I will
color.
take no leaves in the winter for that all day long.
Will you?
I will.
It doesn't have to be that
Well,
color either, does
you'll
it?
have
It does. It's got that color.
That's the one?
It's so good.
You
Okay,
do
let's
love
keep
that
going.
crossvine. Oh,
Let's keep
clematis.
going. That's the vine. It's so good. I love it. All right. Creeping Time still going in my yard. Shasta Daisy still going in my yard. And Verbena still going in my yard. All three very closely planted together. They're looking nice. Daylilies going off. Honeysuckles still going, but about done. Alliums just started. Just started. I love my alliums. They're great. Red Hot Poker still going. Looking pretty good this year. Hey, a new one for this week. Prickly Pear Cactus. Shout out, Caroline.
Yeah.
You love it.
I have a lot of it.
Yes, you do.
Even Sarah Bates planted some.
She did, yeah.
So
So that's good.
I have a
Heuchera.
visual.
And then it rained on it.
Hey,
Tyler's
got one.
That's my prickly pear in bloom.
Yes.
It's the best.
It is really
y'all.
pretty.
And
I'll
mine
give you
fruits every year.
Yep.
Amazing.
You harvest it?
Yeah.
Do you?
And then I don't do much with it from there. But,
Okay.
The
yeah.
blooms
take it
are
off
so
anyway,
big, the
right?
bees swim in them
Yeah.
like little swimming pools.
It's so cute.
Alrighty, that shade-loving foliage plant, Heuchera, it's blooming. The Asiatic lilies just started, just started. I think mine popped this morning, no joke. Yarrow's still going, but probably needs to be cut back soon so it reblooms. Echinacea just started. Ann in the office told me her echinacea just opened up literally 2 days ago, okay? Hey, shout out to those natives around here. The penstemon is blooming, and the milkweed just started blooming. That butterfly weed, that orange that you see. Steve, who works here, shout out Steve, love you. He showed me a picture of his orange blooming butterfly weed this morning, and that is fantastic.
Yes.
Love those. Great for the monarch. Butterflies, hey, I've already talked about it. Your roses, they're in bloom. Oak leaf hydrangeas, the second week I speak of this, they're beautiful right now.
incredible.
Itea still going. I talked about Itea earlier with great fall color. It's still showing off right now with its blooms. Hey, let's go to the trees. Little leaf linden. You ever think about little leaf linden?
No.
Unless you're a beekeeper.
You don't mean-
Beekeepers love them.
you don't mean Tilia cordata, do you?
That's what I mean, David. That's what I mean. Little leaf linden. That's a pretty little tree. Underused. If you're a beekeeper, you need them. The bees love them. Okay. Hey, Coosa dogwood still hanging on. Almost out, though. Magnolias showing off. I'm going to be talking about that for a month. Y'all get ready. But their cousin, the big leaf magnolia. Hey,
Hey.
those are beautiful. And you don't see them very often. I took a detour yesterday with my family. We went out to dinner because my daughter graduated second grade yesterday. So, hey, shout out, Ivy Joe. Love you. And on our way home, I took a different route home just so I could see a big leaf magnolia, and it was in full bloom on Oak Lawn Road. Love that road. Beautiful,
No,
beautiful.
that was a grandifolia, not a acuminata.
Probably, yes, grandifolia or macrophylla, one of those, Chinese chestnut, y'all, still beautiful. Sprays of blooms. They spray at you. They're
do.
beautiful.
I love
and then,
that
hey,
one.
catalpa still holding on. What a big
buddy.
leaf blooming tree. And my last one on the list, just for fun, the old weed out in the fields, thistle.
Yes.
I love
a thistle bloom.
I love thistle.
I mean, that thing will tear you up. Don't even try to pull it.
No.
Use your shovel and dig it. That thing will get you.
Use
But
your
the bloom,
backhoe and dig it.
yeah. The bloom is money. That's what's in bloom.
Beautiful.
Way to go. You know what?
Yeah.
The one thing you mentioned
Shut
that's
that, dear
more
diary.
than just in
not a
bloom
dear
is
diary.
Dear
the
diary.
southern magnolias, which are of course one of the things you mentioned. More than just the open flower, they have a great fragrance to them. Wonderful.
So good.
Stop and smell a magnolia near you.
There you go. David, yours in the side of your house is looking good now. You
It
got it a
is
good
awesome.
prune last year, and it's
Yeah,
it's flushing tight.
It
I like
takes
it.
when you have to do a hard prune on one, it takes it a couple of years to really fill back in. I got that one pruned at the same time as ones at my home in town, and it's only just now really filling back in nicely. So it does take a couple of years for all that sparse areas to totally foliate back in, but they both really look excellent now.
I saw one.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Miriam is saying that, and she's offering a recipe.
Hey, Miriam.
Yuccas are
Hey,
popping, and it's time to scramble up some petals with onions and eggs.
Hey.
I've not had that.
Miriam, you fancy.
But by the way, shout out to Miriam and all the great folks out at the Hillsborough West End Neighborhood Association. Thoroughly enjoyed getting to visit with a lot of those folks. Great gardens and wonderful neighborhood, and we were glad to be a supporter of their gardening event going on last weekend. So shout out to Miriam. Always good to see her. She's just, she gets it done.
Yeah.
But she's retiring from the board of that event. So we'll see who steps up next year.
We did get a yucca question in. My yucca has blooming stalks that are so large they are falling over. Do you prune these? No.
No, don't prune.
you
I mean, this is
can
the
if it's
time.
going crazy, but stake it.
Yeah, stake it. Get you a bamboo stake or something. You can just put it pretty close to it, and just keep it up because this is the time for yucca. I'm sorry, Miriam, I forgot the yucca this week. But you're right.
Oh,
it
you
is in
did.
bloom.
Yeah.
I did. I forgot it.
Good call, Miriam.
called me out.
Yeah, she did.
Miriam.
Love
She
it.
called you
I
out and
love
didn't
you.
even know she was calling you
I
out.
know.
Well, maybe she did, and she was just being nice because that's the way Miriam is.
Miriam
She's
is
nice.
fantastic.
So great. But yeah, stake it up. Enjoy those blooms. You got 2 or 3 weeks left of them blooming, so may as well keep them up and looking good.
Because they'll harden off, and then you can trim them off, right?
Yeah, so once they finish blooming, they'll go to seed. They put the
So many
seed pods
seeds.
up.
So many.
Then you can cut them off if you want or do what you wish. You
Yeah.
know?
My yucca's not blooming this year, but it did bloom, last year.
Yucca's weird about blooming.
Yeah, it is.
It blooms this time of year, but then it also like randomly throws blooms in the fall sometimes, I've noticed, which is odd. I've seen it. Don't
Are
give me
you
that.
sure?
I'm
I don't know about that. All right,
Trust
y'all.
me.
We've got a long question in from Colin.
Yep.
calling.
Colin.
Hey,
that
Col.
starts, Dear David.
Oh,
So I've run into a problem where a friend asked me how to best take care of a plant. It was a tiger lily overrun with lily aphids. They are not the best gardeners, so I gave them some advice as best I could, which they did not truly follow. But sadly, the plant succumbed to the grim beyond. It was indeed sad, and I offered my condolences. But now I'm being charged with horticultural homicide. The claim is that it is my fault that the plant had died, and now my friend is wanting me to replace it because I gave them bad advice.
Well, you know, advice in life is worth what you pay for it.
Right.
And it's usually free. So, you know, that's part of the penalty you pay for soliciting free advice. Is
And
that
this was not a premeditated horticultural homicide.
No.
Either. So, I
And
mean, you have to take the degrees of what's going on.
I believe it's a bit presumptive to put
Yes.
the blame on Colin. So, you know, there could be that there's a lot of points of interaction in between the message coming from the messenger being received by the person.
Would we be
who's-
considered his peers? So could we be a jury here? And
Well, I think we have some qualified.
I vote to acquit, Colin. Anybody else? All in favor?
Well, you know, you know, Colin
Motion
is
to
a-
dismiss.
Yeah. Colin is a
Mistrial for sure.
Colin is a guy who's very inquisitive with respect to horticultural.
Yes.
So it's possible he missed the mark. I'm pretty sure it was not with intent.
No.
So,
No
and
premeditation.
it might have been that the action party was culpable in some way. So,
I think so.
Anyway,
Colin, you're doing great.
You are doing great. Good morning, Colin.
You are exonerated, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
you are. All right, let's talk about some butterfly bush. Thoughts on butterfly bush? I've heard mixed things about them.
Well, that's a
I
great.
have mixed feelings about them.
I've got mixed feelings as well. Okay, butterfly bush is one of those plants that it's like it'll live, you know, bloom, be great, live for 2 or 3 seasons, and then one year just die.
Boom.
And you're like, why? Why'd you just die? Like it happens sometimes, and a great question because like you just said, I have mixed feelings about it as well.
Yeah.
There's the Pugster blue butterfly bush that I love so much. I've been wanting to try it, but I'm still on the fence about butterfly bush so much that I have not.
You
bought
should
one.
try it,
Now-
and then you can give us more advice about
I have a theory about butterfly bush and the buddleia family, and it's much the same as that theory that I apply to Carya japonica, which if you trim them at the wrong time, it's probably going to kill them. They have this. My suggestion is when they first start putting out new growth, that's when you want to cut them back. Cut them back as hard as you want to, and then don't trim them anymore until the next year. For whatever reason, Buddleia and for sure Carya japonica, if you trim those things after they flower, unlike most things, they just won't come back usually. And I don't know why. There's got to be some reason for it, but I haven't been able to discern that. I've just seen time and again, if you trim them at the wrong time, they never seem to perform well thereafter. So there you go.
You know, I need a follow-up. I bought a Pugster Blue butterfly bush for one of our guests last year. What's her name? Reach.
You
send in a live
you had
something.
To buy it. You lost a bet or something.
I did lose a bet. I bought it for them too. They took it home. Hey, comment. Is it living? I want to see a picture. Let us know, Reach.
Probably
you're
not
watching.
Probably not blooming yet, right?
Wouldn't be blooming. I just want to see if it's alive.
Those are much improved cultivars
They
as
are.
far as the growth habit goes, because the original Buddleias that were sold for years just got way too big. And by the fact that they stay a lot more compact, it alleviates a lot of the trimming problems associated with them just because they don't outgrow the area so quickly.
I'd love to plant like 3 of them together.
I know.
I think you
Big
should.
mass.
Do it. Second butterfly bush question.
No.
I planted a butterfly bush in full sun. Now I'm seeing leaves curling and yellowing. What are your thoughts?
Well, yellowing could mean a number of things. I don't know how old it is. Did they say they just planted it?
Well, they said planted.
It's
so.
planted, so it's been wet.
Sounds like they recently planted it. By the way, it was rain.
Sounds
but I could
moist
be
to
wrong.
me.
It sounds like it could be wet. I mean, that it's been a wet spring, so I mean, it could be that. Curling sometimes means aphids. Insects in there. Get in there and look at it. But I'd have to see it. There's so many things that this could be. And also,
Always
what
email us a
percentage?
photo.
This is always the first question that I ask guests when they come in with problems. What percentage of the plant is yellow? Is it 1 leaf?
Yeah.
Is it 10 leaves?
Is it just leaves on the interior down at the bottom?
Exactly. Like a tomato plant, for instance. I guess
Those are
came
not
in.
indications that there's anything wrong. It's normal.
It's part of it. Plants lose leaves from the interior or the lower parts typically first, and that's totally normal. So,
Because they don't get enough light.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't contribute to the growth of the plant or any other photosynthesis. So the plant says, I'm done with you.
yeah. I mean, even if
we need to send the energy elsewhere.
Exactly. Even if 10% of your plant is yellow, like 90% of your plant is green and good. So that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
90%'s an A. Hey, has anybody ever brought a butterfly bush bloom into a cut flower scenario?
It doesn't do well.
Doesn't do well.
No.
I've never tried.
You got minutes of enjoyment.
You do, and then they just do this, and then they fall off.
Okay, good to know.
But they look cute. I want them to be a great cut flower, but they're just not. We got another question in from Miriam.
Hey, Miriam.
Miriam
again.
says, I've planted a banana in full sun in a large pot. What's the care and keeping? Could it possibly overwinter? And can you suggest best companion plants?
Okay. I'm gonna give it to you, Miriam. I don't think there's a companion you need to put in with a banana. Okay, first off, your banana's going to be fine. As long as it's the hardy banana, they're going to be hardy even in a pot here. Okay, but that banana is going to take over that whole pot. I mean, you could maybe for the first season put some spillers around it or something. Maybe some trailing whatever.
Lantana.
Trailing
Do it.
lantana.
It
That'd
would be a
good.
great one.
Like for the first season, using annuals, that'd be okay. But that banana is going to go from 1 to 5, and then those 5 is going to go to 10. So it's going to fill up that pot. So I don't necessarily know.
Then the pot will explode.
Yes. It'll break your pot. So, yeah, you might, after the 2 or 3 seasons, you might have to dump that banana out of the pot and, prune it, get out a whole bunch of those pups and then put it back in that pot because then,
It'll grow into it real fast.
Oh, real fast.
Yeah. Tyler?
Tyler's sighing. He
Tyler
knows.
just...
I've been through about a month of pruning my bananas, or whatever you call them, dividing.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a huge mass that develops under the ground, under the soil. It's this big, solid, white, fleshy. It's crazy. And you just have to dig out big chunks of it to get out as much of it as possible. And if you don't get out that, it'll send up more pups.
Get ready, Miriam.
I want more pups on mine.
And it's
If you got the room.
and it's
Yes.
3 bigs big.
3 bigs?
Big. So
Big.
remember that.
Big. All right, one of our viewers has fire blight on trees. Whoa.
That's a big,
And
tiny,
then
big
they said,
explosion.
help, is it a goner? Fire blight.
Not good.
It's not good. Fire blight's a nasty pathogen. It really is, and it mainly affects a lot of fruit trees and
Pears
anything in the prunus family, cherries.
It gets Bradford pear trees, though.
It does.
Yeah.
They'll take 'em.
But they seem to be the most resilient to it.
They really do.
Unfortunately.
You're right. Yeah, crabapple can get it. I actually just saw a picture yesterday of a crabapple that seemed to have fire blight, which is annoying. You can kind of tell if you have fire blight because a lot of times the leaves will turn black or brown and they droop down and they look dead, but they persist on the tree. They don't fall off. That's a characteristic of fire blight, which is kind of unique. But you can prune back. So what's recommended is to take a stem that's, say, your stem's up here in black looking bad. Take that stem as far back down or totally off.
At least a foot beyond
Yes.
where that it appears to be affected.
Uh-huh.
And you should also have a alcohol wipe or a cloth that's got alcohol where you can wipe your shears off between each cut so that you don't take a chance on spreading this to another cut somewhere else. So it's very important to don't transmit this pathogen to other trees.
What if it's on the trunk?
Sometimes
Shovel is the answer.
Yes,
or a
exactly.
Grubbing hoe, you dig it out and you burn it.
Yes. Sometimes, like you just said, Dave, you got to cut your losses in gardening sometimes. If you have a bad apple in the group, you get rid of it immediately.
Even if
you
it's
don't
a
even
bad
think
crab
about
apple.
it. Yes, even a bad crab apple. You just get rid of it. I'm sorry, but it happens.
Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Spring is at our doorstep, and if your plans involve improving your landscape or starting a garden, then Bates Nursery is the essential place for what you need. They offer the largest selection of plants in the Southeast, from unique flowers and trees to tropicals, roses, houseplants, and native plants. Bates Nursery's 92 years of serving Nashville gives them unparalleled experience in stocking the plants that perform best for your home. Their friendly staff of horticulture experts are ready to assist you with your gardening needs. Located minutes from downtown Nashville in beautiful Whites Creek, Tennessee, just off Briley Parkway at exit 19. Shop inventory online before you visit at batesnursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932.
We have come to our hydrangea portion of the show, y'all.
Always.
It's time. Always. So let's start strong with an oak leaf question. I have an oak leaf hydrangea that hasn't bloomed in years. Had one bloom last year and now nothing. What are your thoughts?
Shade.
Strange.
It might be in deep shade. It's still weird, though. Is there a phosphorus deficiency? That might be. I mean, we've talked about this before. If your middle number in your soil is low, it may not bloom. So come out and get some added phosphorus. Let's at least start with that. I mean, it's literally...
It can't hurt.
No, it's not going to hurt. I mean, you come out here and you see the fertilizer bag that's got literally blooms of like crepe myrtle on it or whatever. Like, it promotes blooming. So I'm assuming you have a deficiency there. Let's start with that and see if we can't turn that around, because there's nothing worse than a hydrangea that doesn't bloom.
Yeah, the problem is that if you correct that deficiency, is it going to reveal itself, that correction, this year?
No.
And that's the problem.
That is the problem. It would probably be a next year thing.
It means go ahead and do it now and then be prepared to do it again next spring earlier.
We want to check the pH too.
You can, but I mean, the pH shouldn't be affecting blooms, I would.
Huh. All right, let's get to another question. We got a live hydrangea question in. My panicle hydrangeas are 4 foot tall. Can I prune back now to prevent flopping?
I think yes. Now, what you're going to sacrifice is they're going to bloom later than everyone else is around town, and they're going to bloom smaller. But are they going to flop? Probably not. So this is a good practice. I would have already recommended you do this earlier than now, because panicles are probably about to start budding soon. So it's not like... This wouldn't be ideal time. Like next year, do it earlier. But if you just want to do it, I want you to do it to experiment with it. I want you to see how it does. And then I want you to send us pictures whenever it is in bloom. So for my sake, do it.
Yeah, I've got Annabelle's in my landscape at home. And last year, the guys that do our trimming for us, I don't do it anymore because I look like this.
You don't have to.
Anyway, they did not cut them back far enough to suit me. So I did pass along the thing that I really wanted them cut back to at least a foot above the ground, short. Now they're back to 30 inches, 36 inches, and beginning to bud up. So, and they will not flop. And so you have to, there's that little pain of looking bad for a little while to gain the long-term benefit of them not flopping. And they won't flop even if it storms pretty hard. I mean, it would have to be something
like what hit Houston.
Yes, it would have to be something like that to make them flop, because the stems are short, and you do have slightly smaller flowers, but you have more of them.
Hey, we've asked for a couple of pictures this week. Where do we send pictures if we want the folk?
Send to gardeninginsideout@gmail.com.
That's easy.
Yeah, easy to remember.
We love pictures.
We
Yes.
do. We love seeing photos and sharing photos. But let's stick on this hydrangea topic, because y'all, we got a lot. We got another live one in. Our pop star hydrangea, shade or sun.
They're a part shade plant, so like all the macrophylla, it's avoid afternoon blazing sun. Even avoid like say 2 o'clock on sun like that. We don't really want that. Morning sun's okay, and the macrophylla do still need a fair amount of sun to bloom, but just not that horrible hot time of day. They don't want
Eastern
it.
exposure,
Yes.
if any way possible. If you wonder which way east is, that's the
That
direction
way.
the sun comes up in. So,
Yep.
Yes, it is. You were right about that. Right, I have small brown spots that are in clusters on my hydrangea. What could this be?
Me and Tyler talked about this yesterday, actually, and I've got this exact same problem. I'm assuming you're talking about a panicle. That's not always the case, but panicle hydrangeas are very unique in the way that any insect activity that gets on a panicle hydrangea will make brown spots. And it's even a rogue caterpillar or, say, flea beetle. Flea beetle really likes hydrangea a lot, and if you just get 1 or 2 in there and they cause any mouth parts that have the sucking effect of getting the juice out of the leaf, like anytime that happens with any insect, it creates brown spots on the tops of leaves. I just noticed it yesterday on mine. I've seen it for years on hydrangeas, and that's what they do. So it's probably an insect. If it's not, like I said, if it's not like 90% of the plant, if it's like 10% of the plant, then that's okay. You can pluck those leaves off. It's going to bloom. It's going to be fine. But yeah, that's kind of unique about those.
Interesting. All right, where should we plant reblooming hydrangeas like the Let's Dance series? Sun or shade?
Same way like I was just talking about with Popstar. It's going to be that morning sun environment, afternoon shade if we can help it, or like a filtered sun environment through the trees all day long.
Yep.
That's a good environment for them. Yes.
put your arms up. There you go.
All of that.
All of that
Is
stuff.
that the tree canopy, Austin?
That was.
Or you were
That's
doing the
great.
train.
I wasn't doing the train. I was doing the tree canopy.
Oh, well.
And the
In my
filtered
mind, you
light.
did the
That's what
train.
that was.
Oh, the sprinkly
Well,
filter.
Yes,
light.
the filtered light.
It's almost like the robot, right?
Yeah, it was. It was little robot-esque, I would say. Love
I
it when
think
you
it was-
dance on the show.
I
with
was
our viewers,
dancing.
Austin.
Yes,
You always bring up the dancing. There's no dancing.
Because it's great.
He danced with his arms for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, final hydrangea question of the morning. Are you ready?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Oh, well.
Tyler's not.
I'm gonna
Just
go ahead and-
kidding.
Can you recommend a unique hydrangea for a shady spot in the garden?
That one.
That one. Right there.
The lazy Susan
Hit it,
one.
Tyler.
Fade it.
Gotta
Fade
have
it,
it.
Tyler. Fade it in.
Put me on the spot.
You gotta be ready.
I just used the wrong camera.
No.
I'm sorry.
It would have been so
It was so
great.
dramatic. There it is. Use that one.
Man.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it'll handle some shade like we talked about. The Incredible Hydrangea, by far my favorite. That can handle deep shade too.
Yeah.
Or a full sun. Like it's very versatile. So mine are so budded up right now, y'all. Every single stem just filled with buds.
Those
Yeah,
arms
there I did
again.
it again. Next question.
Mine are great. My dog ran over one of them, and
Gosh, your dogs and husband are just
really.
wreckers of plants.
well, they are everywhere. So it's not really their fault. It's a little bit of mine. Hey, Colin did send up a follow-up about that question.
Okay.
Basically told them to treat it with neem oil. The friend did not dilute it and covered all the leaves in straight concentrated neem oil, which is going to immediately smother them.
And here is a bit of direction with respect to all chemicals that you might spray. Read the entire label.
Seriously.
The directions. If even as a guy who's been spraying for a whole lot of years, I still reread it
Every time.
every time.
Yeah.
A lot.
Some of them have
Because-
I do
specific
too.
ones for specific types of plants too.
And neem oil specifically, you can talk about that probably in your houseplant world. There's some plants that do not
not.
take neem oil at all.
Yeah, I do not use neem oil on kind kind of like papery leaf houseplants. It will smother them and they will look brown very
Yeah, they don't like, it's an oil.
Yeah.
Right.
That's hence the name neem oil. So
Yeah.
you got to be careful.
And especially this time of year where the sun's hot, if you put neem oil on your plants and it's in the
Cook
sun,
'em.
it's going to cook them.
Yeah.
It's going to cook them.
Said the friend, she literally painted on the oil.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's not on you, Colin. You did your
No.
best.
Yeah, you're fine.
You're fine. We got another live question in from Joan on Facebook. Joan says, Agapanthus, will it survive our winters? If I plant it in the ground, would you dig them up and bring them inside the garage during the winter?
Okay, great question, Joan. I'm on the fence with Agapanthus as well. It's like right on the line, okay? So you... Really? I can't help it. But Agapanthus is beautiful. It's super beautiful, especially in Southern California. Okay, I've seen it out there, just fantastic. But around here, it's risky. So if you got that full sun hot spot in your yard, you can try Agapanthus and see if it overwinters.
There are cultivars that are a bit more winter hardy than others. The more gorgeous ones are not.
Yeah, and it just depends. It really the past 2 winters, what Agapanthus live, I doubt it. I really
Probably
doubt it.
none of them.
Yeah, but it's still worth a try because they are really, really beautiful, and they're not all that expensive.
But
It's a perennial.
they might, if you mulch them heavily and did some extra things. But, these are things that are difficult to remember to do when it's down to it. Okay, I've got this.
It's really
Agapanthus.
cold outside, too. when
Yeah,
that's
I don't
going
want to
on,
go out
man.
there. I'll get it. I'll do it next week when it warms up.
Yeah.
Too late.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah.
Yep. We got a couple things on the Facebook page. For one, where did it go? Jana's saying, way to go, Tyler, with the camera work.
There you go.
Yeah.
I hope you
Tyler's
enjoy it,
killing
folks.
Wow.
It's worth the upgrade.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
in
really
visual quality.
It's really great.
These
You're
cameras
doing amazing
move.
things. I don't know how Tyler does all this.
I don't either.
I would panic and then everything would break. And then Risha says her butterfly bush is alive. It's coming back and has a lot of leaves. Thank you for buying it.
You're welcome, Reach.
Yeah, I was glad that you had to buy her that.
Yeah, I'm sure
He
you
didn't
were.
just randomly pick out this customer. He lost a bet.
I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember exactly what it was.
I forgot that butterfly bush was in bloom one time, and they called me out.
right.
That's
Okay.
right. And then
then I
you
was
said if
like,
you
I'll
come out
buy
to the
you
nursery,
one.
I'll buy you one. Okay, so it wasn't really losing a bet.
No.
You lost a plant in
Saving
your head.
face?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Let's talk about Japanese maple for a moment. Japanese maple looks like new growth in the stems, but still no leaves. Is it dead?
No leaves at this point. She dead. Sorry.
There's your answer right there.
I mean, it's
I
gotta
was
be, right?
holding
There's
out
no
for
leaves.
Right, I was holding out for my Macawa because it did look alive. The buds looked fresh, but it's not
and
coming
what
out.
has probably occurred, the Japanese maples took it on the chin last year. As well. I mean, that was in December 22. And many of them recovered, but
Sort
only partially. So they were much weakened state, and then they got pretty well hammered yet again for a second year, already in a weakened state. Normally, either one of those years would not have done them in, but those two back to back, pretty tough.
Lost
Pretty
Mr.
tough.
Wu.
Hey, let's get one more
sorry.
question in. What's your favorite dwarf Japanese maple and why? Mine is no longer Macawa because
Mine-
it died.
Still is Mikawa Yatsubusa.
mine.
Sharp's pygmy.
Hey,
Got two of
David,
them
good
at my
one.
house.
Wow.
Those are pretty.
I use them as a low hedge under a north-facing window. They
Oh,
really
that's a
look nice.
fantastic
They
idea.
look nice.
A
Hey.
low hedge under a north-facing window.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Oh, you know what the music means, David?
That means we're done for this week.
Yeah.
Aw.
But next Saturday morning, we'll come back.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're out there, share the video anytime you can. Hit the bells if you got to do the bells.
Exaggerate the quality of
Yes,
it.
I mean, tell everybody
we're
about
okay
what's
with
going on. We really are. Hey, watch out for the podcast that comes out on Wednesday, and listen to that. And Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp shows up every once in a
That's
while.
right. Renee Bates is out there on amaryllis repotting.
Yay,
So
Renee.
check that out.
Yes.
But for everybody here at Gardening Inside Out, we appreciate you joining us. Hey, come out here to the nursery and see what's going on.
We got it going on.
Yeah, they got it going on everywhere. Hey, we'll see you next Saturday morning right here from the Green Room Studios for another hour of Gardening Inside Out.
Thank you for tuning into the Gardening Inside Out podcast. If you're looking for more information or more from your hosts, don't forget that we have a live Saturday morning broadcast, 8 a.m. Central Time on YouTube and Facebook. You can also follow us on our Instagram channel. That's @Gardening Inside Out for more posts, reels, and in-depth dives to topics and things we've discussed on the show. If our content resonates with you, consider giving us a follow, like, and subscription on all of our social media pages. See you next time.